We're in Romans chapter 1. We've already talked about that this Paul, he's laid the groundwork for, or given us a snapshot of how we enter a relationship with God. But now, as we get into this, as we continue to move, as we've said, you could, if you did not have the context of this, it would sound like Paul's a legalist. It would sound like he's a Judaizer. It would sound like salvation by works if you didn't have that little snapshot, and if you didn't know that what he is doing is laying the groundwork. He's like an extraordinary strategist in a courtroom. He's laying down the facts. He's bringing in the legalist. He's bringing in the Jews. He's bringing in those persons who are the sophisticated. And then he's going to lay down the hammer of Jesus Christ. So let's take a look. We're in chapter 1. Even the atheists know. Even the atheists know. Verses 18 in chapter 1 through 22. But God shows his anger from heaven against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. They know the truth about God because he has made the truth about God, because he has made it obvious to them. They know the truth of God because he's made it obvious to them. For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and the sky. Through everything God made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God. Yes, they knew God, but they wouldn't worship him as God or even give him thanks. And they began to think of foolish ideas of what God was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. And instead of worshiping the glorious, ever-living God, they worship idols made to look like mere people, and birds and animals and reptiles. Even the atheists know that's a reality, as Paul lays out. Just the most logical, sensible, ABC, elementary principles that demonstrate that God is. And yet, as we look at this, we can also see that people, in terms of their wickedness, all right, they suppress the truth. Now, by wickedness, very often we talk about, what people do, the kind of conduct and kind of behavior. And he's certainly going to talk about that. But this wickedness is a wickedness of denying that God is. I mean, wickedness that's the core of it. That's the whole basis of it. It's a whole thing of being in such an incredible sense of denial. Now watch this. Denial doesn't mean that the facts are not evident. Denial means that in spite of the facts, I'm still going to deny. There's a saying, don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is made up. But we love the very text that says there is no excuse. Even the atheists know. Just simple. The earth you stand on, the sky you look at, and to think that it just somehow in some way came together. Well, who is the come together who made it came together? Excuse the grammatical. Father, we thank you. We know